In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this upcoming pattern. We do have some more major storms on the way that we need to speak of. They will be bringing some potential wintry weather as well as some severe weather that we need to talk about. And even if you've been keeping up with the videos, some tropical activity here in April. I think the rest of April is going to be full of surprises. It's already pretty clear with the tropical activity. That's just really random and just really interesting in general. So we're going to be going over all of these things, diving into the upcoming pattern. Of course, we learn more every single day. Let's just walk through it. And as we can see, by the time we're reaching the high temperatures of today, the midday here, we can see that we have primarily a ridge here over the west and a pretty weak trough here over the east. There's not a lot of Arctic air. That Arctic air is still all bottled up here. Up at the top here, there's just a little bit of cooler air, more seasonable, able to make its way down into the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, and into the southeast, but this is pretty minimal. I will say, though, the warmth that we're seeing over the west is pretty extreme, and we are seeing quite a bit of this, so this is definitely pretty impactful at this point. I don't know why I keep popping up this emojis thing. I don't know what button I'm clicking that does that, but I'll have to figure that out. That keeps happening. We can see over here in the northwest, we do have some storminess as well taking place. There is some snowfall here for the northern Cascades and then there in the Canadian Rockies as well. So these mountainous areas still holding on to that wintry weather. The lower elevation areas probably warming up quite a bit. We could tell that there is some showers and thunderstorms here in the kind of south central states, but overall pretty dry, pretty warm for a lot of you and really not that active. Same story on Tuesday, except we're starting to see some of this warm air try to spread eastward here by this point, so this is starting to move in. The southeast actually probably holding on to more of this cold than anywhere else, and we do see some more cold and stormy weather moving in for the northwest and trying to take hold here, and that's what's kind of forcing that ridge to start to move eastward here, as you can see. We do have quite a bit of storminess actually, as well as we have a 992 millibar low pressure center here, and again, imagine that counterclockwise motion. That's why we're seeing this cold air really able to work its way in behind it. We're seeing a lot of snow with that as well, and then we're seeing a lot of this warmth push in to the east of it to the north, so we're seeing this type of a flow. That is what a low causes, and that is what we are seeing as well here. As we reach Wednesday, the high temperatures here on Wednesday, April 12th here, we see things kind of really dissipate. We see a lot of this energy is transferred a lot further to the north and east here. With that jet stream, we do see a lot of this tropical activity, this flow of tropical weather heading into the Gulf states, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama. We're seeing these states included, maybe even the panhandle of Florida there. Can't be ruled out. That is what we're seeing as this warm air continues to move eastward here. So this is a very interesting flow of things, but we're seeing this warmth really push eastward here by this point. There is some lower pressure in here, but I wouldn't call it a low pressure system yet. It's very, very weak. We do see it develops into a pretty weak low pressure system, about 1,006 millibars, and we are seeing quite a bit of moisture and precipitation in general there for Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the panhandle of Florida there. Might see some southern areas of Georgia get involved here, and some southern areas of Arkansas can't be ruled out either. We see that every day that we move on here, the more warm things are looking here in the east. We're really seeing things warm up here by Thursday, but really Wednesday is going to be quite warm as well. And we're seeing more of this cold push down in the west, and this is what's causing the kind of unbalance here, where we're having to see this balance beam really tilt up in the eastern end of things. As everything's tilting down here in the west, it's causing equally that kind of northern flow of those warm temperatures in the east. I hope it makes sense, but everything has a balance here in the weather usually. As you can see, by the time we're reaching about Friday afternoon, things just look about the same but more extreme. So pretty big ridge here in the east still. A lot of this tropical activity has flowed in like this, and it's kind of curving back, and we've been taking a look at this. We kind of knew it would look like this. This is going to bring some potential flooding concerns, as there is a lot of thunderstorms and showers involved with this. Also, plenty of moisture. That's going to be the biggest thing, is just that plenty of moisture taking place with this. We do see here in the north central United States, we also have a storm system developing here. I think I might have missed the development. Yeah, here we go. So this is the development of our potential major storm that's going to cause potential severe weather, as we have this warm front here and a little bit of a cold front underneath, and we're going to be watching for thunderstorm development along that cold front underneath. This is where we're taking a look at potential severe weather, especially starting Friday evening here. A lot of this low pressure is sitting on the kind of southern extent, but really there's some broad low pressure throughout all of these areas here. So everywhere underneath this, we're watching more of a cold front and more of a warm front here. So these areas will likely just be showers for the most part. It's really here that we're watching for potential severe weather along that more cold front type boundary. As we continue this on into Saturday, the high temperatures on Saturday, we see a lot of this low pressure transfers way further to the north. We have this wintry weather here along this area. This is going to be the warm front up there. So let me just redraw this. So the lows here, warm fronts like that. Cold front is right here. We can see a lot of this cold air billowing in behind it, and it's along that cold front that we're going to be watching for potential severe weather. The extent of this severe weather yet is kind of unknown to this point. We don't know for sure what that's going to look like, but we can assume with the time of year that the potential will be there for some pretty major severe weather. As we move into Sunday, we see this is still continuing. Unfortunately, this is also a slow mover, so we have the cold front still right here. We'd be watching for that severe weather. Right along that cold front, we see the warm front right here, and then we see this kind of illusion where there's some snowfall happening here to the west of that low and to the north of that low. Very classic early spring low pressure system. I'd say it's a little bit late in the year to be seeing something like this, but we are. So we're where we're at. We're here, and we have to just roll with what we're seeing. We do get this kind of huge ridge in the west and then this huge ridge in the east and a big time trough in the middle. So we get this really horseshoe looking pattern because of this, which is a very extreme pattern. We see this cold front actually extends all the way to Mexico as well, so very far stretching also. As we reach Monday, the high temperatures on Monday, we do see that this low is over eastern Canada. That cold front is now stretching something like this, so we'd be watching for thunderstorms and heavier showers along the entire eastern United States. Monday night is going to be extremely cold for a lot of these areas because we have this extreme ridge and then just this very large trough doing something like this. There is some warm air able to make its way into New England and eastern Canada, but that's just because that low, that cold front is still not fully over you guys yet. But we can see a major Arctic blast pouring into the eastern United States here, bringing very, very unseasonably cold temperatures, especially Tuesday and on Wednesday there. So the 16th through about the 20th here, we're looking at very cold temperatures with this major Arctic blast in the east. Even some wintry weather, as you can see, for a lot of these areas, the mountains of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, New England, there's some snow showers happening, which means this is extremely cold temperatures. That's the high temperatures on Tuesday, April 18th. We see blue on the map. We see snow. Very, very interesting. And we can see by Wednesday the 20th, or Wednesday the 19th into Thursday the 20th, we see this really starting to lift off as some warm air is pushing back potentially, bringing more seasonable temperatures, not this brutal cold temperatures. Now, the total precipitation here, as you can see, we see quite a bit here for the Northwest, the upper Midwest, as we get this major storm system for these areas moving through. And then we also see with this tropical activity in here, there's going to be low pressure. That's going to bring some high amounts of precipitation for all of these areas here because of that. And then these areas in between, not as much activity as we're seeing in these areas. So again, we're seeing these lows move on shore to the west, kind of recycle and move through and up like this, but we're also seeing this tropical activity just move and curl like this as well. So this is the storm track as of right now that we're going to be seeing over the next 10 or so days. The total snowfall here, as you can see, was still for the Cascades and the Rockies. We're still seeing quite a bit there, 10 plus inches over the next 10 days. But not only that, we have a pretty major area of snowfall with that more major storm happening here, starting in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, then the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as well. And then moving up into Canada, becoming an even more major snowstorm. But not only that, we expect potential snow showers underneath here for the Ohio Valley, mountainous regions of the Appalachian Mountains here, all the way up into New England. Pretty unseasonable, actually, so this is a little bit surprising to see, but plenty of snowfall is what we are seeing here. Now, the temperature pattern, what happens is we see, again, as we're looking right now, we see cold in the east, but this is going to warm up pretty rapidly here, especially by Thursday. We could see a little bit of cooler conditions where that tropical activity is trying to move in, but we see our low is somewhere in here. So this is going to cause, because again, counterclockwise motion. So imagine this is what's happening. So we see the warm air rising through these pockets and even moving towards the east. Like this is what we were seeing at this point, but this cold air is funneling in, damming is what we call it here to the west. and that is moving in just like that. So this strong low is what causes everything else that is happening to take place. It's super interesting how much control that has over everything at this point. We see the warm weather sticks around through the weekend, and it really gets cut off on Monday, Tuesday time frame, where we get this major Arctic blast here in the east again. This is an ensemble model, so this is multiple opinions and probably a little bit averaged out, but we're seeing temperatures at least 10 to 15 degrees below normal. So this is going to be a pretty significant departure. We see things warming up a little bit as we move on. It's pretty clear that for late April, we see more cold here in the west than I would say in the east. So I think we might end up moving back into something like this with maybe a little bit of more seasonable weather here for the east, but it's not going to be too bad. It seems like, if anything, we see this model trying to indicate a major trough in the west would be the more likely outcome here, which, as you know, this is upstream. So this is affecting what's happening here on the western end. So in the west is moving eastward downstream towards the east here, and that is the flow of things. What happens in the east doesn't affect what happens in the west. What happens in the west heads to the east and impacts these areas. Obviously, everything has a relationship, but what's happening in the west is directly moving into the east. So that is how you have to look at it. It is a linear pattern happening around the globe. It does get back to point A, you know what I mean? It makes its way back to the start, but by then it's had so many different interactions. It's a different weather phenomena happening in general, but this is like step 1 to step 2. So we're seeing a direct movement from the western United States and North America in general to the eastern areas of North America. I hope this makes sense. A little bit of a weather lesson today. I try to instill these things in you guys so that mentally you can look at weather maps and determine for yourselves. I think it's such a cool thing to learn about it. You don't have to trust somebody else to tell you. If teach a man to fish, he can have fish forever. But if you give a man a fish to eat, he just has a fish for one night. It's that type of deal. Anyway, a little bit of wisdom today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day, and we try to teach you guys stuff every day as well. Be sure to also hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to also like that video and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.